Hello and welcome back. Well, today we've actually received chicks. So we have 20, actually 21 day-old chicks. These are white rock chickens. They're going to be meat birds, and that'll come up a little bit later on. So, as you see, we've got the brooder all set up. And the key at this point is to take these little balls of fluff and introduce them to their new environment. Now, the first thing I need to do is make sure that they know where their water and their food is. But I have to start with the water because they have to have their water. They haven't had anything to drink since they left the hatchery. And that is probably the most important thing. They can live without food a little bit longer. So I take each chick, and I dip its beak in the water so that it knows where it is. I'm going to repeat this now for every chick. Now, it's entirely possible that a couple of chicks won't clue in right away, and that's okay, because what happens is they see the others, and they move in, and they follow the leaders effectively, and so that's what we do. We put them in there. Now, eventually you'll see them, they'll start congregating around the water, because for them that's the most important thing. They'll dip the beak in, and they'll look up, and the water will run down their throats. So, look at this little guy. Actually, I should say little girl, because they're all pullets, or female chickens. And the reason for that is I'm not a fan of roosters. Although roosters do get bigger than pullets, they tend to be aggressive, and they tend to be loud and obnoxious. Two things I can do without. Anyway, as we continue, I'm also counting, because as I said, I ordered 20 altogether, and the hatchery will typically, as a rule of thumb, add in at least one per 20 extra. And the reason they do this is because these chicks have a certain mortality rate. And I've been very lucky in the sense that I don't lose a lot of chicks, especially this way, because I have, the brooder is inside for the first 3 weeks. And so until it gets warm enough outside for them to be outside, they're going to live in the house. Now, if you look at the top middle, you'll see a red and black item. And that is actually what they call a plate heater. And that will provide heat for the chicks, because at this point they're not really feathered out. I mean, they're fuzzy, but they're really not feathered out. So they need that heat. There's two ways you can provide heat to chicks. The first one being that plate, and the second one being a heat lamp. Now, the problem with the heat lamp is it has a certain danger factor involved. And what happens is, or what has happened in the past, not to me, fortunately, but the heat lamps can fall. And if they fall and land in the wood chips, it is possible that the wood chips would catch fire. So about 2 years ago, I switched over to this system here, and I've never looked back. You'll see the chicks poke themselves in there every once in a while. Now, another thing you can notice is that if the chicks are cold, the chicks will congregate together under that heating plate. But if they're comfortable, they'll spread out all over the place, much like they're doing right now. So clearly, they are comfortable. And I mean that in terms of heat. So, yeah, they're getting used to the place. Actually, they're running around, and they're making lots of noise. And you would think that they would peep all night, but they don't, actually. They will fall asleep as soon as it gets dark. So once I go to bed and I turn out the lights, they will all likely congregate underneath the heating plate, much like they're starting to do now. Now they're just exploring. But you've got what they're looking at there with the multi-holes, that's actually their food. So I don't have to introduce them to the food. They actually find it on their own. or one finds it and then they tell the others effectively. So what I'll do is I'll make sure that that food is always full, or as full as it can be. Probably, honestly, it's best to keep it half full, and I'll make sure that the water is at least half full. Now, this may not look like a lot of space, but in fact it is. Now, this is only 21 chickens, and they'll only be here for 3 weeks, sorry. And what I'll be doing is, next week, I'll probably be posting, not necessarily a video, but I will be posting updates in terms of pictures, size, and you'll see how they start to grow. And in just 3 weeks, you'll be amazed at the difference. Now, in 3 weeks, they will have feathered out. Now, feathering out means that they'll have lost their yellow feathers, and they'll be replaced with white feathers. They will molt, if you will. And they'll be replaced with white feathers, and those white feathers are actually what are going to keep them warm. They'll have some down underneath, but it'll be the white feathers that keep them warm. Now, that actually will start in about 3 weeks. If it doesn't start in 3 weeks, in other words, if they tend to have a lot of bare spots still, and that would be normal, but if they still had a lot of bare spots, what I would be doing is waiting. I'll wait an extra week if I have to. I will not put them outside and put them in danger. The other thing I have to keep in mind is that the chicken coop has trellis on the bottom of it, so that when they poop, all of that goes through the trellis. However, the trellis has holes that are about 2 inches by 2 inches. So what I have to do is I have to be careful that their feet won't go through it. As it looks right now, they seem to be settling in. Generally speaking, I will have had, in years past, I've had half of this space for just as many chicks. And this year I knew I wanted to do something different. So that's when I started to create this, convert this, I guess, tote into something that made a lot more sense. Now, there is actually a video of the conversion of the tote. So you can see how I took the tote, cut it mostly in half, and turned it into a place for them to run around in. Now, I should mention, on the bottom of this, you've actually got wood shavings, but pine wood shavings, and it's important that they be pine because otherwise they could be toxic. Pine, we know, is not toxic, and they'll be comfortable. The bedding is deep enough that they won't have to worry about too much poop or urine. I will add more bedding as it becomes necessary, but in the meantime, I want to keep them as clean as possible. And that's how I do it. I add more bedding when necessary. I'll do that by hand. I'll just put in scoops, handfuls of bedding to make sure that their feet are always clean and dry, or as clean and dry as they can be, because I don't want them contracting diseases. Diseases will kill these chicks very, very quickly. It is, I enjoy watching them grow. They are a lot of fun, and as you will discover, they are fun to look at. And I will do some videos that will focus on what they look like as they're getting older, as they grow. Now, these chicks are grams in weight right now, but when it reaches harvest time, they will be about 1.5 kilos. So the key will be to keep them fed and happy. Talk to you soon.